There are two kinds of paper that I habitually use for sketching. There's the sketch pad itself, where I work out all my ideas and the very rough work. I also put down any notions that come into my head that may or may not be related to a job. Anything, basically, your sketchbook should be filled with anything that comes into your head. I also use layout paper for the working sketch. Layout paper is any kind of fine paper with a smooth surface. The reason fine paper is useful is because we may make use of a light box, and the fine paper allows the light to pass through more easily into the working paper. I like a good soft pencil. The higher the number, the better, especially when I'm doing rough sketches, because you want something that will make a nice, definite mark on your page, that will give you good deep shadows and just enable you to sketch freely. The softer the pencil, the better. Anything above 4B for initial sketching. Sometimes if I want to do a working sketch that's really tight and I want to keep it neat, I'll use 2B, which is a little harder, but still makes a good mark. The brushes I use with acrylic are soft synthetic brushes. There are natural brushes, but they require an awful lot of care, and to be honest, acrylic is quite hard on brushes, so I find a synthetic brush works perfectly well. They can be very good quality. There are many shapes of brushes, but I use two shapes basically. There's the pointed brush and the flat. I don't use any brush smaller than number 4. Brushes are rated according to size. The lower the number, the finer the brush. Flat brushes are good for large areas. I like to keep a large one and a small one, and that's all you need. For illustration, I've settled on acrylic because it has some of the qualities of oil paint and some of the qualities of watercolor, and kind of the best of both worlds. It's opaque, so you can work over areas that you want to revise or that need changing. It's the closest thing to having a Command Z in real paint. I would recommend getting heavy body acrylics. Most brands of acrylic have two ranges. They have a student quality range, or a studio range they would call it, and an artist quality. Paints can be quite expensive, but if at all possible in your budget, it's better to get the artist quality. But if you buy the student quality paints, which can be adequate, I would recommend with the white especially, splash out on the white and get a really good quality white, because you need good covering power, and also a weak white won't mix well with other paints. You'll notice here I use a fairly small color palette, fairly limited. It's not necessary, I believe, to have a huge range of colors. Mostly you need the primary colors and a few others which are more difficult to mix. The paper for the finished artwork needs to be a heavier paper. I would recommend around 300 grams per inch or thereabouts. Nice heavy paper won't warp under the paint, even if you're using quite a bit of water. And I use a fairly smooth surface, as you can see here. You will find that with acrylic paint, acrylic dries very quickly. It's actually a form of liquid plastic, basically. So you will find, unless you're extremely prompt with cleaning your palette, it can be very difficult. So I prefer to use a disposable option. And the best option I have found is simple plastic folders that you can get in any stationery. We all need a little help from technology to get your painting to where it needs to be in a magazine or wherever it's going to end up. The basic materials you're going to need are a computer, a light box, and a scanner. Printers have a scanner on top, an A4 scanner. You can also get A3 scanners, but they tend to be priced in professional ranges and are quite expensive. But an A4 scanner is adequate for scanning your artwork. One thing to watch out for when buying a scanner is to try and get one where there is as flat as possible a surface on the top. In other words, where the glass is not recessed too much into the plastics around. The reason for this is that if you're scanning artwork in several sections, you don't want to lose too much focus on the edge where the paper overlaps. And of course, with the scanner, you need a computer to finally digitize your artwork, and an image manipulation software such as Photoshop, in case you need to make last-minute adjustments to color or to any other aspect of the illustration. The last piece of equipment I have here is a light box, which can be very useful when it comes to transferring your working drawing to your artwork paper. Put a lot of work into the working drawing, into getting the composition exactly right, so to be able to trace it using the light box is very useful.